Okay, I'd like to call the January 22nd, 2026 meeting of the County of Oswego Industrial Development Agency to order. Tim, could you do a roll call of the members, please?
Sure thing. Nick Canali,
Present.
Pat Carroll's excused. Marilyn Chesbro
Here.
Trish Peter Clark is excused. Mark Recco here. Tim Stahl, I'm here, and Gary Standard. All right, you have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. Austin, can you go over the staff and any guests that are here?
Absolutely. In terms of representing staff and guests are Austin Willock, CEO of the County of Oswego IDA, Kevin Lamontagne, CFO of the County of Oswego IDA, Kevin Caracoli, General Counsel for the County of Oswego IDA, Nate Emmons, staff member of Operations Oswego County. We also have in attendance as guests Mark Southwick, Plant Manager at Huhtamaki, Legislator Chris Novak, Legislator Ryan Taylor, and Jim Cannon.
Also Olivia Sproviero on the line there.
Olivia Sproviero, who is representing the Phoenix Oxbow Solar LLC project.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Item number 1 on the agenda is the minutes from the last 2 meetings. Any comments, questions, concerns?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Tim, seconded by Mark.
Do them individually. I would just not do them both.
All right, we'll do December 1st.
Make the motion for December.
Motion by Tim, seconded by Mark. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are passed. Can I get a motion for the January minute?
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Gary and Mel. Any questions or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Notice the meeting was in the Pale Times on January 8th. Financial report, Austin or Kevin.
Yeah, there's not too much of an update today. Nick, you have the report. It's on the portal and also in your package. One, we'll talk more about it later in the meeting, but we did complete the acquisition of the note of the property we've been pursuing. We'll talk more about that. It's on the agenda later. That made it to the balance sheet as of December 31st, essentially as a loan receivable. And we are looking at quite a full plate of closings coming up here by the end of February, as is typical before the March 1st taxable effective date, and then also a handful more that we think will close before year end. So we'll be in good shape with those. Anywhere from 6 to 8 closings between now and the end of July. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Something else I wanted to bring up as well, and you're aware, but we also have 2 grants from National Grid that we anticipate will be collected in the next several months related to the industrial park expansion project. $125,000 grant related to engineering fees and a $500,000 grant related to infrastructure, in addition to the other grants from the EDA and from Empire State Development related to the actual infrastructure build out. So those are all other things that are anticipated to hit in the next couple of months.
Now, of those, how many of them are coming in pre-spending and how many of them?
So all of the grants are reimbursement grants. So the grant related to the engineering costs are costs that have already been incurred, so that could be collected at any time. But the grant related to that $500,000 grant for National Grid is related to infrastructure costs. So those will be taken on sometime here in 2026.
Okay, thank you.
But probably sometime before the end of the fiscal year in July.
Okay. Anybody got any questions or concerns on financials? Can I get a motion?
So move.
Mark, second.
I'll second it.
Tim. Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Financials are passed. Number 4, 2026 private activity bond allocation.
Yeah, so for those who've been on the board for a while, you guys see this happen once a year. So Empire State Development notifies all IDAs throughout the state on an annual basis of the amount of private activity bond allocation that is provided to the IDA, which can be utilized to provide conduit financing for eligible manufacturing projects up to the limit that we have. So we were just notified earlier this month that the Oswego County Industrial Development Agency has an allocation of $5,323,743. Understand that this is not cash. This is we have the ability to issue tax-exempt bond financing for eligible projects up to that amount. If we had a project that exceeded that amount, we would have to request cap from other IDAs if they're not going to use it to contribute to a project. So this is a bond allocation that is seldomly used just because it's based on population. I believe right now with our conversations with the state, there's like one project in the state that an IDA is actually using it for this project, which is in Cattaraugus County. What happens a lot of times with it is that it goes back to the state and they use it for housing projects throughout the state. So, but there could be potentially projects that could be done. I do want to say before a question comes up on it, we cannot use it to fund our own projects. It can only be used to fund, an actual private sector project. And in the past, we've done projects like Fulton Companies have been funded. We've provided bond financing for projects like that and others, but it's one that it's a difficult program to use because it's with IRS rules and it tends to not be a good fit for projects, but we might have something this year.
Is there a minimal amount that it has to be at least?
There is, and it's not really based on the actual rules, but based on the actual cost of the borrowing, because you have to get significant legal work done. Because if you think about it, these are bonds that are then put in the market, and you have to find someone who can actually market those bonds and do other things. So they typically have to be over $5 million to make sense to do because of the cost associated with it, because they're tax exempt bond financing. But if you have several $100,000 in legal costs and bond placement costs,
Obviously.
that is going to make the cost of borrowing probably as much or more than actual just regular financing. So it's one of those things where it's difficult to use
Okay.
unless you could get other bond financings packaged up from other IDAs for a larger project. Yeah, you have to get it up to a certain size.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So that is for information only purposes, correct, at this point?
That's right.
And so we had talked about moving item number 6 on the agenda ahead of number 5. Okay. Phoenix Oxbow Solar LLC, initial resolution. Kevin, you want to take that?
Yeah, I'll start that out. We have Olivia, and Olivia, Ryan is with you, right?
Yeah, Ryan's also on the line here.
I am indeed. Nice to meet you all.
Hi,
Thank
Ryan.
you.
So I will, the 2 folks on Zoom representing Phoenix Oxbow Solar. Olivia, I'll just go through a quick overview of the project and then turn it over to you to just give some updates on where you are with planning, permitting, construction timeline, and sort of your vision for what the next steps on the project.
Sounds
We
good.
have this is an initial resolution qualifying the project for benefits and also allowing us to go ahead and schedule a public hearing for a new to us at least, a new application for a solar project in the town of Skrupel. It's a 5 megawatt project on Hogue Drive, just east of the village of Phoenix. And they have completed their planning approval and site plan approval. They've received their negative declaration for seeker from the town, so they're well along. You're probably familiar with this project.
Mhm.
Right?
It's in the town of Skrupel?
Yes.
Town of Skrupel, yep.
Right outside the village.
Yeah, just near Finger Lake Stairs, which is a client of ours. But anyway, it's a 5 megawatt, pretty much fully approved as far as I know, except for perhaps the building permit. And they've applied for benefits from us under the pilot deviation policy for the typical package, basically. $7,000 per megawatt as a pilot with a 2% escalator plus included sales tax exemptions in their application. And I don't know if we have that information
I
yet.
think that'd be a question to have for them.
Olivia, it's maybe with that overview, I'll turn it over to you, but the question from Nick was whether you have negotiated any type of post-community benefit arrangement with the town of Skrupel, and if so, you could give us an overview of that. But also, if you could give an overview of just the project, your next steps, your timeline, would be helpful.
Yeah, so we are in the process of we have a draft agreement for the host community benefits agreement in place. That, along with our decommissioning and road use agreement, are the 3 conditions to our special use permit and site plan approval resolution. So we're going to have that sorted out prior to applying for the building permit, but we are trying to get on the agenda with the town board in February to work through that language with them, and then hopefully have it fully sorted out by March. Next steps, we're moving towards our construction financing, as well as equipment purchasing. We are going to need to do some light civil work in the next quarter, and then we are on hold for a little bit until November, where we're going to be able to begin full tree clearing and full site deployment.
Yeah, this project seems to be on a fast track to get built within the next year, Olivia. When do you think it will go live or interconnected?
I mean, we are planning, there is a bit of a delay here with our modules, but if we're based on the provided, I'm just gonna go down to our yeah, we're hoping to have a PTO by mid 2028 latest, but that's due to just some module delays that are pushing off some additional site work into 2027.
I see.
Could you describe a little bit as well? So this is a little bit of a unique project coming to the IDA. We've had significant experience dealing with your typical community solar project up to 5 megawatts, but this is a bit different in that you guys have built-in battery storage into this project. Can you describe a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so the battery storage, it's AC coupled. They're 4 Tesla Megapack 2XLs. What they do is they retain energy from the project during the day at peak hours, and then they're able to disperse that energy back into the grid, when there's additional need at hours where usually the solar is no longer producing. They run on a 4-hour cycle, so they'll usually charge once a day, and then they can disperse that power for up to 4 hours maximum. The 4 megapacks is equivalent to roughly 4 megawatts AC, and then with that being a 4-hour cycle, that's about 16 kilowatt hours, 16,000 kilowatt hours of power. But yeah, it charges fully from the solar on site. It is not taking anything from the grid, and then it disperses at times of higher demand as a means of grid resilience.
So it takes a solar project that's typically an intermittent power producer and actually makes it into potentially a peak power provider when days like today when it's really cold and you need more power, or days when it's really hot.
Exactly. It helps level the fluxes of power locally.
So you're generating the power during the day as well as you're able to supply some at night via the battery.
Yeah, it's able to charge when there's, sometimes there's too much power coming from the sun during the day. You guys already have enough, especially with renewables in the area. So then, it's able to store it and then let that, be dispersed on scheduled times of peak demand to help, meet higher demands. And, when, there's high cooling or high heating is in locally.
I guess my question was, if you're gathering the energy during the day, is that being transferred and being able to be used in the day, or is it all going into a storage? I mean, can you?
It's not all going into the storage. The storage is more so like the additional capacity on top of what we're also able to give into the grid during the day. It's just usually an overproduction that isn't usually needed all just during midday, since those are lower energy usage parts of the day.
I'll just add to that really quickly. I'm sorry. So all of our projects so we have a 5 megawatt injection capacity approval from National Grid, right? So we're allowed to inject up to 5 megawatts of power at any given time. These systems are actually oversized on the DC side. So we generally operate at like between a 1.2 to 1.4 ratio on the DC side, which means at any given time, we're actually creating slightly more power than we can inject into the system. So that means that we're able to take that excess power and store it. It also means that as the site degrades over time, these panels, they degrade like any other electronics, usually to the tune of around less than 0.5% per year over time. It means that we can maintain that 5 megawatt injection capacity even 25 years down the line, because we're not going to have degraded to that level. So we usually will oversize a project on a DC level, even when there isn't storage. But the benefit of storage is that we can actually use that power. We can use the oversized power where wouldn't have been able to use it otherwise.
Olivia or Ryan, could you guys give a little more information about the parent company themselves? Is this a project owned by Nexamp, and where's Nexamp headquartered?
I can take that. So Ryan, let's step in because you have a bit more information here. Nexamp is headquartered out of Boston, but we have additional headquarters in Chicago and New York. I work out of our New York office. The Nexamp Incorporated, which we've included on the application, is our overall umbrella parent company, and within that we have a development corporation, Nexamp Solar, that houses all our different project companies, and then there's also within that Nexamp Capital that works in tandem with the development company.
So it's worth noting, just for broader context, what everything Olivia said is spot on. So Nexamp has been operating in New York State for almost a decade at this point. We have just under, I think, 120 facilities across New York State at this point. And that 120 facilities is comprised of around 80 facilities that Nexamp has developed itself, doing project like we're discussing here today. But Nexamp also buys projects from other developers and then owns and operates them long term. So the big takeaway here, so Nexamp Incorporated and Nexamp Capital are asset owner operators of the individual project companies that fall under them. We don't sell any projects. We certainly don't intend to sell this one. We're going to be a long-term owner of this, in addition to being the consolidated EPC. So part of the strength that we have as a company is that our parent company encompasses the development company, Nexamp Solar, as we had talked about, but we also have an internally integrated engineering, procurement, and construction arm that manages all the construction and procurement of the project, and an internal asset management team that manages the long-term operations of the project and customer management. So we're pretty much a fully integrated shop, one of only a handful of fully integrated shops that operates nationally, and certainly the biggest fully integrated shop in New York State.
And so since you guys are of that size, do you have a local or New York State crew that does these installations? How does that work?
I'll take this, Olivia, just because it's a little bit nuanced. So we do source locally for everything we possibly can. The only exceptions are when we are required by manufacturer warranty to use specific crews that are needed for specific components. So that is usually most notable when it comes to the structural installation. So the racking providers generally require that they actually utilize their own crews in order for the project to be warrantied. The same is often true with the commissioning operators for the Tesla Megapacks. So they actually bring in people. It's worth noting Tesla does have staff in New York. I can't speak to whether or not specifically those people would be New York based, but in our experience building these batteries, they're using New York based crews, but they have the option of bringing folks in, right, from other states or other areas if they're overburdened. But we will use local labor wherever possible, unless restricted to do so by warranty constraints on the manufacturer side.
Thanks, Ryan.
Before we go, just the parking lot next door is the movie theaters. There's a red Subaru out there. I don't know if it's someone, you may have to move it before they do something about it.
Okay,
So if you could, please.
I will most certainly.
We will still have a quorum if you're out for a few minutes.
Well, I have a question while that's going on. The battery banks, are you making any special provisions or training for the local responding fire departments to combat any fires with the battery banks? Should they occur?
Yeah, that's all been part of our review by third-party engineers by the town. But we have an emergency response plan, which spells out what to do in an emergency, the site, and they're all site specific. But included in that is also fire trainings for the fire department to come on site, and we do iterations of that regularly to keep updated. And then additionally, we have commissioning plans specific to the batteries, since if there were to ever be an issue with the battery, most of those happen very early on during the commissioning portion of construction. And so we have specific plans for safety precautions to be in place at that time as well.
It's also
Okay,
worth noting that as part of our permitting process, actually before we even went to the planning board, Olivia and I met with the local fire department to go over civil designs, get their feedback, talk with them about their concerns. So they've been involved longer than the planning board has. We think it's
Good to hear.
extremely important that everyone's extremely comfortable with what's going on here, and understand the dynamics and the technology involved. And as Olivia had alluded to, I think absolutely paramount is the both initial and ongoing trainings that we've proposed through our emergency response plan, and we'll continue to conduct with the fire department as requested. So basically what we're going to be doing is on-site trainings once the facility is constructed but not energized. So we'll bring everybody out to get a lay of the land, understand the technology, kind of get a feel for where all the shutoffs are, make sure that all the signage is up to date and everything is where it needs to be. And then we have proposed to them that we're happy to do annual trainings as requested for any of the sergeants within the force moving forward.
That's exciting to hear. Hey, just out of curiosity, how many fires have your battery banks had on any of your other sites?
By
You
Nexamp,
experienced any? By your
Yeah,
company,
so-
yes.
Nexamp battery, we have never experienced a battery fire, period. And so we actually, what folks will see is there's been a resurgence of energy storage development in New York here with some new state level regulations that have kind of streamlined things. But there was a NYSERDA program that operated from, I think it was 2018 to 2022 is when it sunsetted. And that was the last run of energy storage development in New York. Nexamp was the largest holder of energy storage deployments in that last tranche, and those facilities have been operating for upwards of 4 years with no issue in New York State. So that's New York State as it stands, but we have not had any issues with battery fires anywhere in the country at this juncture.
Just one point further on that. You mentioned that you're utilizing the Tesla Megapacks, right?
Mhm.
That particular battery energy storage system has been approved and vetted by New York City Code Department and the NYFD. From my training in and around the state, the general understanding is if your battery energy storage system has been vetted and approved and utilized by the city of New York, then it's
Good everywhere else.
because they're the gold standard of review of this particular energy system.
Excellent. Good to hear.
And I just want to say, just as a reminder for those on the board, I mean, everyone on the board should know, but just as guests as well. So what the IDA is considering today is an initial resolution that is just determining, and this is, I want to make clear that this project application, after it was received by the IDA, it received review by our legal or our bond counsel at Barclay Damon, who's determined that it is an eligible project for IDA benefits. So what is being considered today is an initial resolution, one to, resolve the project as eligible and to schedule a public hearing. It's not at this point to set in place any level of benefits or anything else that would take place at a later time, along with the public hearing.
So with the batteries, there's multiple batteries. Are they staggered? Is that how it works with the 4 hour? I can't imagine. Like, can they hold it for longer than 4 hours, or is it as soon as they start charging, they have to be used within 4 hours?
It's
that 4
that they
hours?
have 4 hours of energy availability. You can hold on to that charge until, the appropriate time to release it. But they will release it, the way we have it programmed is to release it over a 4 hour period of time. Or we could do, there's different iterations you could do, but that would be the.
So it's not
the
that it
usual
like
setup.
you charges and it's forced to evacuate within 4 hours. Essentially, there's a 4 hour plan of utilizing it once it's been stored.
Yeah, it can be spread over 4 hours.
So the point to note here is energy storage, if you're being an energy wonk, it is a long duration storage, but it is not like the longest duration storage. So these batteries do need to be cycled. It's not like we could charge these things, let them sit for a year, and then discharge it a year later. They do need to charge and discharge continually just to function correctly. But ultimately, what's happening here is really at its core an energy arbitrage, right? So we'll charge up as much as we can and discharge as much as the grid needs based on what the price signals are giving us. So does that mean that we're going to only discharge at 5 megawatts AC at any given time? No, not necessarily. We could discharge it less per our interconnection amount and spread that out over a longer period of time, or we could discharge at the full 5 AC for the 4-hour duration. It really depends on what the financial case and what the energy models are telling us is the best option at any given time.
For board purposes, I think this is the first one of these battery storage that we've reviewed. I don't think our standard plan takes them into account. It sounds like these folks have done above and beyond what we would require it, and referencing working with the local fire departments. I wonder if we shouldn't put some additional language in our standard plan for this type of situations, because I think that we would want to know that they've done things like that.
I think it's something we can discuss.
Are these lithium batteries?
Yes, they're lithium ion batteries.
Is there any kind of precautions? As we all know, lithium batteries sometimes tend to burn.
Oh, you missed the whole conversation.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed
Covered
it.
all this, yeah.
Okay.
We'll bring
sorry.
you up to speed. So
Okay.
speed.
Okay,
They're good. They work.
I had a question related to the actual electrical infrastructure. So, one of the things that we see on projects typically is that there's a substantial interconnect fee that is taking into consideration improvements to the grid. Have you guys worked that out with National Grid, and are you making improvements to the grid that actually help benefit the other surrounding properties?
I mean, we've studied the project has been fully studied, and we've paid our interconnection costs with National Grid, and part of that is, the upgrade fees. Majority of that cost, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, is more so local upgrades, and the cost to install the portion of the feeder that we need into our site. I can check though into the Caesar and see the study and see if they're making any specific upgrades to the substations or any transformers, which would maybe be more, but that would be a grid upgrade that would be absorbed by the whole town rather than just our local interconnection point.
So to
It's
put
just
a point on it, we've made full payments on this. So, full transparency, right? These are financial proceedings. We have made $1.3 million of upgrade payments on this project entirely with National Grid. Those final payments were tendered back in November. And as Olivia had alluded to, there is a slight amount of line upgrade that needs to happen along Hope Drive that takes up a portion of this. Some of it's reconductoring of existing lines that aren't, the right gauge or capacity. So, those will help that sub-transmission system. And then we also, if I remember correctly, are paying for what's called 3V0, which is a ground fault protection scheme back at the substation. That ground fault protection scheme is required by National Grid for any substation that has distributed generation coming back on it. It basically prevents unintentional islanding of that substation on the grid. And that cost alone is around $570,000 or so. So there's a whole mix of different things the National Grid charges us for, but we've already we're fully sunk our teeth into those upgrades. They're already out the door.
And just understanding from our perspective that this investment and this improvement will improve the electrical capacity and sort of resiliency of that surrounding area. I guess that's another thing just to understand from, it's being developed on industrial property. There's other industrial property in the area. It may make it more valuable, the surrounding area more valuable for other projects in the future.
Yeah, it is definitely increasing the total amount of load capacity on the sub-transmission in the system. Full stop.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? I'll make a motion. We got a motion from Mark for the initial resolution. Can I get a second?
second.
Seconded by Mel. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, folks. Appreciate your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Our pleasure.
And so you'll be scheduling the public
Yeah,
hearing
this morning before the February meeting, and then we'll have the approving resolutions on the agenda for February.
February.
As long as everything else that is required is completed in time for that, which it looks like at this point it is, but.
Okay. All right, next item on the agenda, Huhtamaki.
Sure, so I will start on this project here. So we have, and Mark, I would ask you to, we do have a seat over here at the edge. You want to come over here and take a seat a little bit closer when it gets to your time to speak here. But as I said at previous meeting, we, the IDA, members of the staff of the IDA have been working with Huhtamaki for several months, looking at a potential project that includes the investment in 2 new production lines that would be installed at the Huhtamaki facility in the city of Fulton. We received that application, I believe, in December, which then came to the board at that time for the initial resolution. So in front of us today, we did have a public hearing earlier this month in the city of Fulton. So we've done everything required leading up to looking at the inducement pilot and final approving resolutions. But I did want to kind of go before we get into that. I wanted to kind of go back through the project again and talk about the what took place at the public hearing, and then provide Mark Southwick from Huhtamaki a chance to answer any questions and provide some comments as well. So for everyone's information here, this project involves the acquisition, installation, and commissioning of 2 paper product production lines at the Huhtamaki facility located on 23 acres at 100 State Street in the city of Fulton, including facility upgrades, reorganization of existing space, and acquisition of related packaging and warehousing equipment. This advanced manufacturing expansion project will support the retention of Huhtamaki's 406 full-time employees with an annual payroll of approximately $30.6 million in a community that is considered economically distressed. And also to understand that Huhtamaki is the 2nd largest manufacturing employer in Oswego County and the largest private employer in the city of Fulton. The project, as it has been defined to us, is a $955,000 in terms of costs associated with equipment and renovations. What is being requested by the company is an extension, a 6-year extension of their pilot agreement. What's important to understand, so as we talked about this at the last discussion, we did go back to the company. Kevin and I had a conversation with Mark Southwick and corporate about looking at a model that would provide additional funding over that 6-year period. I'll get into that a little bit further on, but just wanted to let you know that has taken place, and they have revised their what they have discussed, which was also brought at the public hearing. So what was discussed at the public hearing is the same as what we're looking at today. So getting into the project, what was being considered is just a 6-year extension of a deviation of the manufactured UTEP from 2028 to 2033. There is no sales tax exemption associated with this. There's no mortgage recording tax exemption associated with this. The company is bringing their internally funding through internal corporate, the $955,070 of the project. The impact is going to be a $955,000 advanced manufacturing investment in a target industry in Oswego County of manufacturing. It's the additional volume and diversification of product and customer portfolio, which will bolster the plant's competitiveness and sustainability into the future. Support the retention of 406 full-time positions in downtown Fulton, distressed areas we've discussed before. And it will support the increased production of products that are sold outside of the area, outside of New York State, and in some cases outside of the country, which will bring in new revenues to the county and to the region. What is being considered is a real property tax exemption, which has an average annual value of $233,000. As I said before, there's no mortgage tax exemption, there's no sales tax exemption. What we have discussed with Huhtamaki, currently their pilot payment is $260,000 per year, and then that is taken and it is distributed on a pro rata basis to the school district, to the county, and to the city. And what they have come back and they have proposed is a 1% increase per year over 6 years. So at the end of 6 years, it would be a 6% increase over that, but every year would be going up by 1%. Over that period, which would be from 2028 to 2033.
Translates into about
It's about $56,000 of additional revenue above and beyond what they're currently paying now.
Total or per year?
If you were to take the 6 years combined together, it would be an additional 56 over what they're paying now. So they'd be paying 260 plus that additional 56 over that time. All right, I think that covers the cost benefit analysis. So that, all that information was read and provided at the public hearing. There was 12 people who attended the public hearing on January 6th in the city of Fulton at the municipal hall. That included Kevin LaMontagne and myself. Other attendees were Mayor Jim Rice, Joe DeMars, who was representing the company. Gary Standard was there from the board. So thanks, Gary, for attending the public hearing. Jess Abbott from Center State CEO, Sarah Broadwell from the Greater Oswego Fulton Chamber of Commerce. Rhonda Campoletta, who is the City of Fulton Common Council President, Bill Acker, local taxpayer, Ralph Park from Huhtamaki, Thomas Fox, a Huhtamaki retiree, and as said before, myself and Kevin LaMontagne were there. So we had 12 people there in attendance. We read through everything. The only person who got up to speak was Joe DeMars. He came up and talked about the project. He did. One thing he did state, and I will ask Mr. Southwick to provide additional information and to confirm. He said that this project would not happen without the approval of benefits for the project. So that was sort of in his statement. He also thanked the IDA, the City of Fulton, and other partners and longtime partners in working with Huhtamaki and other members back in 1996. Sealright at the time had announced a closure, that they were going to close that plant. The IDA worked along with the City of Fulton as well as other private businesses to save the plant, develop a program to make them competitive and keep them and keep those hundreds of jobs there in the City of Fulton. As said before, Mr. DeMars stated that without this pilot agreement extension, he was confident this expansion project and investment in new production lines would not be made in Fulton. Joe also provided details about the type of equipment that was being invested in, which were 2 die cutting machines and 2 forming machines. Joe also confirmed Huhtamaki's over $30 million annual payroll, being a large contributor to the local economy and the importance of maintaining this business here. So said Joe spoke. There was no further comments. The video is out on the IDA website that goes along with the minutes of this. The meeting started at 3:30. The public hearing ended at 3:40 because there was no other comments. So that's an accurate accounting of the public hearing from that meeting. At this point, I will turn it over to you, Mark.
Yeah, thank you, Austin. I think Joe's words and some are very accurate. And additional color I would add to that is, Austin and I started, and Kevin, discussing this project and this opportunity back in the fall. And we had
Fall of 2024, right? Yeah.
we had built a business case for this incremental new business for Fulton. And we were not the lead plan. And that's where Austin and Kevin were able to help us come up with this type of solution to offer to the company to strengthen our business case. So I echo Joe's words, truly appreciate the partnership and support. And without that, this new business wouldn't be in Fulton. I'm very confident in that statement. So that work's absolutely critical. Really, truly appreciate it and excited to bring this new tooling and this new cup forming capability to Fulton. And the other thing that's exciting, it's unique. No one else in Huhtamaki produces this cup. So if there is any other incremental opportunities, we'll get to enjoy that as well. There's no current activity on that, but you guys know if you build that capability, gives our sales team another tool to go out selling our portfolio.
Mark, can I just
Go ahead.
add some additional
Mhm.
clarification? You touched on it, but for the public's knowledge, you were in effect competing internally against other Huhtamaki facilities.
Yep.
Correct. And the Fulton facility won out.
Correct. And that's what I mean about the business case. This was part of a broader contract. That customer is very significant to our Fulton operation. So we were awarded that business, but we were also rewarded with these 2 new cups on top of that. So we sustained a contract, sustained a relationship, and then we're rewarded as a Huhtamaki company with 2 new cup sizes that our competitor had. And then the company needed to make that decision of who's going to manufacture those cups. And that was the business case that we presented as a Fulton team to try to get that in full. So that's a great clarification.
Mark, I got a couple other questions for you. So, you talked a little bit about the viability of this project. Could you just talk a little bit about, how the pilot has helped the sort of the long-term competitiveness of Huhtamaki in the city of Fulton?
Oh, absolutely. Having predictability on, our fixed or overhead costs, and that's what taxes and overhead costs as a business, right? Having that stability is absolutely critical for our longer term plan. You can imagine some of the challenges we may face in Fulton. Our factory is 143 years old. And our sister factories, we have brand new to 20 years old. So you can imagine the design, the overhead of those. While they're new, that's not cheap, but there's some efficiencies there that they get to capture that we have some barriers. So controlling our overhead costs and having that stability is absolutely critical. And that's what things like this pilot agreement do for us as a local team.
And I know you've shared with me, and I don't know how much you can share, but you know, this plant is on a, you know, per cost basis is one of your more or most expensive plants in the system.
We are not the cost leader. We are not the cheapest manufacturer in the Huhtamaki system. That's an accurate statement.
And so I think you answered the questions that I had. Well, actually, let me ask one more. So, you know, this is a pilot agreement that has been, you know, we've extended several times. Can you talk about, and I know you've been with Huhtamaki a while, can you talk about some of the other investments that have been made by Huhtamaki over the years related to those previous pilot extensions and how that's led to your long-term competitiveness?
Yeah, absolutely. The original, as Austin talked about, was absolutely critical for success. And that was a printing investment. That was like 20 years ago, somewhere 25. And that is a key technology for our plant. We've had two technologies, lithographic and flexographic printing. That was in the lithographic space, allowed us to compete at a global level with photographic quality printing on our packaging. That's expectation of our customers. That positioned us very well. Prior to that investment, we were flexographic, and frankly, the market was shifting away from that. So now we compete with that. Fast forward to today, that new die cut tooling, that this product is in our lithographic press. You can see how it's built for us. Another extension we did maybe 3-5 years ago for, I think it was a 2 to 4 year extension. That was another incremental piece of business for us.
The Slitter project?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, investing in newer technology for our platform and bringing in business into the Fulton operation. So these investments have truly helped strengthen those business cases as we compete internally and externally in the market.
Open it up.
How's that translated into employment numbers?
Yeah, so over my tenure, we've been down a little bit, but we're stable the past 3. Where'd the down come from? We lost a major customer. Significant adjustment to our staffing levels. One thing I'm proud to say, while impactful for our business, we're able to manage it through attrition, the employment loss. Now, let me be clear, because many people out in the community know we make ice cream packaging. There is seasonality to that business, so we will have seasonal layoffs that many of our workforce have adjusted their lifestyle to. Typically happens in the fall, so hunters, as example, kind of have adjusted their lifestyle to that. So we do have our normal seasonal layoffs. However, we did lose that significant chunk of business, and we were able to manage through that without any additional layoffs. This book of business that I'm talking about today is part of this pilot agreement and this incremental volume. If we were to lose that account, I do not think we could manage that through attrition. It would be significant. So this really excites me because it gives us stability.
This truly is a retention project. It's not, yeah, okay. I think it's important for everyone to understand that.
Good.
Any other questions from the board? Nate, did you have any other questions, Kevin?
I just like to end, truly appreciate the support. One thing I love about Oswego County is the partnership we have with the legislature, the IDA, with the city of Fulton. It's one of the joys I have for our region. And I appreciate what you guys do every day, whether it's for Huhtamaki or the other businesses you support. I think it's a little bit of magic of what we do here. So I appreciate that as me, Mark Southwick, an individual. And what you guys do feeds my fire of why I want to work hard for Fulton, for Huhtamaki, and for this region.
Thank you. So by getting, thank you, but by getting this deviation, the new equipment's gonna come, you're gonna put the new lines.
Yeah, anticipate startup Q1.
Okay,
So we're on a good path.
okay.
And that excites me because there's one point I didn't think we were gonna get this. Except for Austin and Kevin came in and really helped us, and you guys are helping us right now.
So if we didn't get this, if you didn't secure this new line of business from Fulton, you'd likely be seeing layoffs, right? And that would be,
But I can clarify. This business is incremental. Our budget is flat year over year, so stable. We are seeing significant attritions. We are hiring, but it isn't because we're growing. We're
Okay.
replacing workforce. If this pilot didn't come through, we wouldn't get the new business, but the workforce will be stable,
okay,
but our cost structure becomes more challenging.
so this stabilizes it, it makes it more likely that there's future investment coming to Fulton
Definitely
down the road.
position's better. And I'll go back to the statement. We are not, when I say cost leader, the low cost manufacturer. That is not what we are. So we have to control our costs, best of our ability, find ways to drive them out. But this definitely gives us stability in this field.
I did watch the public hearing on this and I didn't see anybody who was opposed to this speak up at all. So I'm gonna be clear on that. So Steve Fulton obviously is in favor of it.
Gary was there as
So
well.
you're there.
Yeah, it was a position.
Okay.
I will add,
Good luck.
it was Ralph Perro who attended. He's actually
Oh.
our union vice president.
Oh, okay, well, I wrote that down as Ralph Park, so I will make
Yeah.
that change, Ralph Perro, okay.
So Ralph was able to attend and kind of be part of the process.
It is written down as Huhtamaki/VP local, and then it's the local number, so I have that there.
Very good.
Yeah, okay.
All right, anything else? Can I get a motion for the inducement resolution?
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Gary and Mark, any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Can I get a motion for the pilot resolution?
So moved.
Mark and Mel? Any questions, comments?
The only clarification or comment is that there is no seeker resolution here because this is a type 2 action. We notify, or we put that, called that out in this resolution.
Built into it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Final approving resolution, I'll make that, Tim. Seconded by Mark. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark, and good luck. Okay, you're good. You're good.
You can talk to Mark about it.
That is-
Next steps.
Okay. Item number 7. EDC Annual Conference.
So New York State EDC is the New York State Economic Development Council. The IDA and Operations Rio County, both members of the New York State Economic Development Council. This is sort of the group at the state level that advocate for economic development. They also set up several events that talk about best practices in economic development. This is an event that the IDA has sponsored before. It's typically sponsored by IDA, an economic development organization. So what we are requesting, the annual conference is going to be in May in Cooperstown. If you remember before, last year, on sponsor, what we did is we went in collaboration and partnership with Operation Oswego County and split a sponsorship, which is kind of nice because we have both of our names up there for the same cost. So hopefully they don't listen to that, catch that, but it's last year the cost was $3,000 and it was split $1,500 each. I don't know if it's going to go up this year. They haven't come out. They're not going to come out with the numbers until in February, but we want to make sure that as soon as it does, that we can get in so we can get additional promotion and other things for it. So what my request would be up to $2,000, but still only 50%. So if for some reason it goes up to $4,000, we're at $2,000, but if it's at $3,000, we're only at $1,500. We split with Operations Rio County. And the reason I think, especially this year, it's important is that with a lot of the different economic development initiatives that are going on right now, we had the groundbreaking with Micron last week. Central New York is sort of really on the map in terms of what's going on in economic development. You may have seen earlier this week that the governor came on and talked about the viability of Oswego County for new nuclear as a very, very good chance. I'm not going to take anything from that, but I can say that, and I want to thank our partners at the county, Tim, Mel, Chairman Weatherup, Phil Church, and others. We all worked together, worked collaboratively to get an RFI in back in December. And we were very matter of fact in that Oswego County is the most viable location in New York State for new nuclear. We are the only location that can support it on the timeline that they're looking at. So I bring that up because I do anticipate at that May conference that there will probably be some panels that we will have the opportunity to sit on and have representation on regarding new nuclear. So I think it's also, in a way, it's something that we should be looking to sponsor because of our direct participation in that event. If you remember last year, we were on it related to talking about site development and how to put together site development. And several months later, we were the recipient of $8.1 million from Empire State Development for Fast New York. So this is a good place to be pushing and advocating for Oswego County.
Great.
So requesting up to $2,000 that would match Operation Oswego County's contribution for a bronze level sponsorship for your annual conference.
I think we need to make a motion for that.
I'll make that motion.
Tim, second? Mark? Any discussion from the board?
Yeah, what if 2,000 is not enough? We're gonna have to come back. Should we up it a little bit just in case? What if it's 4,000?
I think the bronze level, I don't think they're gonna go more than $1,000 on that, but if
Comfortable with
you
that?
guys want to go something higher, like I
I just don't want you to have to bring it up again. I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
Take it 2,500 and then
yeah. Usually
come in at 1,600 and we'll be happy.
it's either gonna be between 3 and 4, but I appreciate
Just give us a
appreciate
little
that.
leeway there.
OOC is, and it's important to say that, so Operation Oswego County has already approved up to 2,000 on their end as well.
Okay.
So that's already been done on their side, so.
Perfect.
I will report back at our next meeting of what it actually came in at, and just to make sure, and you see that.
You bring in OOC, has there been any movement to get that officially changed?
We can talk more about that. That's in process right now. We're looking at logos and other things like
Okay.
that. So more to come in probably in the June-ish timeframe related to that.
Okay.
So,
Any other
Okay.
questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Looks like we need to go into executive session. Kevin, can you tell us why?
Yeah, pursuant to Public Officers Law, Section 105, it's to discuss the financial circumstances of a particular, in this case, corporations. I don't think we have any individuals, perhaps, I guess, a couple of DBA.
Yeah, we do.
In our delinquent loan updates. So that's the reason for going into executive session.
Also to talk about the IDA's acquisition of certain securities and other things that are related to.
Okay,
I'll make the motion.
Mark, Carrie, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are in executive